Hi Sabine, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So this is the Bayer Career Talk. Then let me maybe start with a career introduction of myself
Yes.
first. I started with Bayer 28, so 2008, as a dual study. And I did my bachelor's in the area of business intelligence. So it was around basically identifying if there's a potential for usage of dashboards in pharma R&D, so pharma research and development. I implemented a lot of dashboards and reports during that time. When I then did my bachelor thesis in 2011, I did this for the next 5 or 6 years. So basically as a developer, as a consultant, as a project lead, application manager. So the different kind of roles that you can have during your personal development to jump into more accountability and more responsibility from time to time. And then I changed to a team which was focusing on innovation topics and trying out, I always say new stuff, but it wasn't maybe more new to Bayer. For example, blockchain or machine learning at that point in time were the things that we tried out. I was the product owner for the data science escape room. So we built with another external company, we built a real physical room, like so these escape games that a group
That's
of
cool.
people went into the room it was in Leverkusen in the site. And we had this room available and we built different challenges and they were all data science focused. And when we first played it, it was like we wanted to rush through and we wanted to beat the record. So we also had then at the end, we decided to have a 1 hour debriefing also. So we explained also what these different challenges had to do with real life Bayer examples. So that was really cool. We trained around 700 people within Bayer, very cool experiences, also a very nice team to work with. And afterwards, then I became team lead of a team. Now it's called Medical Affairs, Pharmacovigilance, and Real-World Evidence Products. And our target is, or our vision is, to co-create cool products, like a small startup, so to say, within Bayer. Yeah, this is what I'm currently in. And from private point of view, I have a wife and a daughter. Yes.
But I have a question. Have you always been working in pharma, or have you also had like cross-divisional touch points, or was it always like the same path that you've been on?
Yeah, it's even worse. It was always pharma research and development. So I was always in IT working with the pharma research and development colleagues. Even if you could say that medical affairs and pharmacovigilance is not really R&D, but it was always the same area, same people to work with. Also, when I changed the different positions, the majority of the stakeholders either stayed the same or came back after some years.
Crazy. Okay. But have you have the feeling that you would like to do something else, or are you happy within your circle, let's say it that way?
In general, I'm quite happy where I am. Of course, there's always an idea, what is it that I like to do? And is this
Apparently
something
it's
I currently, yeah, everything is, I really like to analyze data. Also in my private life, also volleyball coach. So we analyze videos and I do data analytics on sports. So it should somehow be data related, probably, but also people related. I really like to be team lead. So the position is quite fine. The different business context would obviously also be cool.
That's cool.
And how about you?
So I started in 2016, and it was a little bit unplanned, let's say it that way, because I never wanted to work in HR. I'm currently working in HR, and I never wanted to work for Bayer. I'm still working for Bayer. So I was working with my grandparents on a farmers market in Leverkusen since I was like 15. I always supported them working there while I was studying communication and media management. Of course, you know some people because it's a farmers market in Leverkusen. There are like many people working for Bayer as well. And so you knew the customers quite along. And so I was like in touch with somebody and we were discussing because I was looking for another internship in product management. And so we were talking about, hey, Bayer has HR product management. Would you like to do your internship with Bayer? And I was thinking, it's a big company. Yes, it looks really nice on the CV, but is it what I really want to do? I don't know. But if you get the offer, I mean, how can you say no to that? So I was like, okay, I mean, it's 3 months. You just go there. You have something for your CV. And but then I started there, and it was like such a nice like experience, I would say, because the colleagues were so nice, and I learned so many new things, and it was super cool. And I was like, hey, is there any opportunity that I can stay? And so there was an opportunity because I was covering a maternity leave. And so I was like, from my internship, I jumped into the working student. And after that, I got the full-time position. So that was, pretty cool to have my start at Bayer. Very unexpected, let's say, because HR was not the career path that I thought I would go on. Then after that, because I was covering like maternity leave and she came back, so the question was, okay, what now? And I was asked whether I would like to do people analytics and strategic workforce management. But at that time, people analytics was something that was not that common, let's say, at least not at Bayer, as to your point. Even if it's in the market, it's not automatically already at Bayer. And so we started it, and it turned out to be great. I mean, I've never worked with data before. Yes, reports, okay, but like really going into the HR data, that was quite new, but I really loved it. It was really cool because we had the chance to work globally with different countries and do this experimentation, as it was quite new. So working on different use cases, exploring what can we do with HR data. And it turned out, as to you, I really, really like analyzing data. So I did this. But then there was, for the not very first time, but the trainee programs usually are for people coming from the university, so after their master program. But this time the HR training program was posted internally, and I was like, oh, that's such a cool opportunity. So even though I really loved my job and the surroundings, I was like, I need to do something else. So I applied for the training program, and it worked. And until since for more than 1 year, I'm now in the trainee program, rotating through different HR and non-HR positions in different divisions, in different countries as well. Currently, I'm on an assignment in Canada to really get to know HR in different, let's say, different areas and seeing HR from different angles. And that has been the best experience so far, because I got to work with consumer health. I was in Switzerland working with crop science. I was in Monheim, and seeing the business from these different angles. That's really, really cool. Yeah, and I'm very happy. So in October, I'm coming back to Leverkusen, and then I start a new position as HR community engagement lead. So back from data, I kind of left it behind. It's still in my heart. I love working with data, but now going to, let's say, community engagement, complete different topic, but also something that is close by my heart, because I realized I'm super engaged with Bayer. I love working here, which I never expected, as mentioned in the beginning. So I hope that everybody can have the same engagement as I have somehow. So yeah, quite a different, let's say, career, very unplanned, and everything came somehow unexpected, but I'm still very happy with whatever has happened.
And so you started working in Canada during the Corona pandemic?
No. So basically, last year was when the training program started, and I started working in Switzerland for 3 months. Then I was back in Germany, rotating in Monheim, in Leverkusen, working for Bayer Vital. And then in end of April, I was working in Costa Rica in the Global Business Services Organization. And then 2 months ago, I came to Canada. So it's always like a very short rotation period. So it's more of an, let's say, extended business trip that I can do.
Okay. But this is all always on site. So you're currently located in Canada.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. So, but you're then also continuing in HR. So you also do not currently foresee going out of HR to something else.
Good question. So the thing is, I had the opportunity to work also in marketing in this trainee program. So I was working, as a, let's say, brand manager, and that was to me also pretty cool. I mean, when I was working in Switzerland in consumer health, that was nice because there are so many people from the business, and I really had so many great conversations. And then afterwards, working, or I mean, it was just 3 months, but still having the time to work in the business made me realize, yes, I definitely want to work in the business. Would it be good to do the HR trainee program where you get to know like HR and then do not work in an HR position? I doubt that. So to me, it's like I definitely see myself also outside of HR, and I think it's really important to get this business understanding. Because when I was like in my global people analytics role, the only contact to the business that I had were basically HR business partner, global HR business partner. And it's good to have them, but it's a complete different experience when you have the chance to talk to somebody in the business. For example, when I was in Switzerland, I spent one day with somebody like a salesperson, and we spent the whole day together selling products in the pharmacies. And you know, I mean, this is where basically the money comes from. And when you are in an enabling functions like HR, you are not the one making the money, but then you really understand, okay, especially from an HR perspective, what is it that people in the business, what is it that do they need? So that was super interesting to see that. And yeah, I really like that.
Mm-hmm. So for me, it looks like we both like to work with data, but we also had some kind of, maybe it was luck with our career development and opportunities, because I never really thought, so I always said I would like to be a team lead, and I also managed or mentioned that quite early in my development dialogue with my first team lead. But I'm not sure if there was any plan from somebody to bring me into a team lead position, or it was okay, now work on this, and now what would you like to work on, and now I work on this topic. Obviously there have been some trainings available that I did, like Learn to Lead and such trainings. But it was somehow, I have the feeling, and this is something I'm currently discussing with my leadership team quite a lot, the expectation level from new buyer employees, or maybe the younger generation, towards how their development should happen. And in the past, for me, it was like, okay, I do not think about the money, I do not think about the position, I just work and perform, and maybe I take some tasks which are or require more responsibility than my current role really would like to foresee. And it just happened naturally that because I was then good in the job, my team lead said, okay, you should have a higher VS grade, or you should get out of the tariff range into more leadership positions. And currently I have the feeling that the expectation level somehow is, okay, every 2 years I would like to have, so not for me, but every 2 years I would like to have a higher VS grade, or I would like to be in a different job, and maybe a different company, and people are changing or would like to change much more frequently than it was in the past. Do you experience that the same? For you, it was also quite lucky coincidence how your career developed so far, but how do you see that from HR perspective, maybe also?
I think, I mean, I see two sides. I mean, when I speak for myself, I can completely agree that if you're willing to do the extra mile, or to go the extra mile, I think you have lots of opportunities. And also for me, it was everything came unplanned. It was just that I feel like, okay, working with the right people at the right time somehow, but also not working, let's say, or doing the things that's written in my job description. I'm not that kind of person. I just see work and I just do it, or I have ideas and just go for it. And I think this is what makes the difference. If you're willing to do something, and you're really willing, you have really the willingness to do something, even also for a longer period, I think in the end, it turns out pretty well and you have lots of opportunities. But I think also with regards to all the transformation that we are having, depending on where you are, it might be easier or it might be more difficult, let's say. So I think not everybody has the yeah, it really depends with whom you're working. So for me, it was always, and that is something that is also close to my heart. It's not about like my manager where I learned the most, but it's more about the colleagues that I work with. Because always when I look back, like in the positions that I've been, everything that I learned was from colleagues and people that I worked with. So they really taught me a lot, and that was actually pretty cool, because when I look back, I can always say, okay, this person taught me, I don't know, this and that, while the other one supported me on this one. So everything, like my skills, let's say, what I have, or my mindset was built not from that I waited for my manager to do anything, but it was like working with my peers and trying to find, I mean, not opportunities, it came out of nowhere, everything, it was just there. But you know what I mean, is really, if you really want to do something, you can do something, but you have to, and not waiting for others saying like, here, this is your career path. You have to go and make that turn or this position. I think that's, that there I would definitely agree with you.
But you have to show first somehow that you can deliver, basically, and then there will be opportunities because people will remember you, or they will come to you. So this is also you mentioned the things you learned from different colleagues or so. Is there something in particular, like your best buyer learning that you could share with me?
Oh, that's such a good question. I learned so many different things. So, for example, when I started at Bayer, I learned so many things about Excel. So I had no idea about Excel, no formula, nothing. So I truly believe everybody can work with Excel, because I learned, and I would say I'm quite good now with Excel. So something about this, but I mean, what I learned is that you should, or what somebody also told me, is that you should just go for it. So just start experiment. I mean, what is the worst thing that could ever happen? There isn't so many bad things that could happen, but if you haven't tried, you never know. And also sometimes, like when I thought about, okay, is it the career path that I'm going to? I was always asking myself, you have pros and cons, and what is the decision that I should make? And I was always like asking myself, okay, who is the person that I want to be in the end? Not about like pros and cons, but if I go for that decision, am I the person that I want to be? And I definitely want to be somebody who is like experimenting, who just tried it out. And I mean, again, what is the worst thing that could happen? And so I feel like just experimenting and doing stuff definitely helps. And don't be shy and step away and say, I cannot do it. Because, I mean, if we say we cannot do it, how can we know? So things like that definitely helped me throughout my career. And from a leadership perspective, I really loved from one person, and I mean, she was not even like my direct manager, but I was doing my first assignment there. She was saying, you just go, and if you fail, it's on me. But if you do it right, it's on you. If you fail, it's on me. So that made me like really, from an empowerment perspective, I felt very empowered in order to, like, I mean, I was super new, but I had the freedom to do everything, to test and to like experiment myself. And this is what I, from a leadership perspective, something that I definitely like keep in mind. I'm not a manager, but I would love to have a team somehow in the future, and that was definitely something that I have in mind. But what about you?
Yeah, for the last topic you mentioned, I would also add that if you give somebody that that empowerment, it also, the other side is also taking it and doing something out of it. Yeah, and then not going back and asking and at the end it's maybe the team lead again who does the job, but really saying, oh, it's your decision, or whatever you do. So Jürgen Klopp does the same with Liverpool. He also says, if we lose, it's on me, and if you win, it's the team. You deserve it. What I have also two things. So my first team lead, so typically I get quite emotional very early. So if I see that something is not working, you would recognize that I'm a bit annoyed with that. And then there were some emails sent, and I started answering, and I had my email prepared. And then I just had the idea, why not asking my team lead, who was sitting opposite of me, that was still back in the days when we were all in the office. I said, can you have a quick look if there's anything in that I should not send like this? And then he looked at it and said, there is a trick. If you feel like you are quite emotional when you write such emails or when you would answer to something, why don't you first of all take a deep breath? That's the first thing. But also, why don't you sleep one more night and send the email tomorrow? You do not have to send it today. And that's a good trick to maybe be more calm. But for what I experienced is also that if you read that email from whoever sent it to you the next morning, maybe it destroys your working day again because you you are angry about this email again. But that was a nice trick or tip how to deal with such situations when you maybe would react in a way that could at the end maybe lead to some problems with the other part.
That's, by the way, something I use in my private life as well. If somebody like says something that annoys me, I sleep through it. And if it annoys me the other day, I talk about it. I talk to the person like, hey, it annoys me. But often it's just like emotions. And then the next morning you wake up like, what was that? So yeah, good tip.
Yeah, and to your point that just trying it out and doing something, what I always tell my team is please just give feedback and talk to anybody you like to. Yeah, don't think about the hierarchies. Don't think about is somebody 4 level above you or something. Yeah, if you would like to talk to that person, just go for it. Reach out to that person, talk, give feedback in any direction, to me, to your peers, and so on. And for me, there was also one experience with a former manager who was probably like 3 levels higher than I was. I sent him feedback after he did a presentation in a town hall meeting or so for this Start with Why from Simon Sinek. And from my point of view, he ordered his storyline was wrong from my perspective, and I shared that feedback with him. And he said he's interested in my ideas and would like to talk to me, and I could set up an appointment with his assistant. And when I was then in front of his office, he came out of the office and he knew my name. He knew what we would be talking about, even if he was in a previous meeting. So it was not like, oh, who are you now? What was the topic we wanted to talk about? So it was really. And there I saw how also on high management positions, they are also only people. Yeah, and some have maybe more people focus and are more looking into empathy topics and being also open to anybody in the hierarchy than typically one would expect. And this is also a recommendation I always give to my team members and peers. Just go for it and talk to the people you like to talk to.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, when I started like my career, I was super really afraid of, like, say, senior levels and these hierarchies, and they were like manager in such high positions. But what I learned throughout like my experience, like working with Bayer, is that it's not such thing. We are all people, and there is no. I mean, at least in HR, there's not the feeling of, hey, but I'm higher than you are, or I have more to say, or something like this. It's really working all together on the same topic. And I mean, I had the opportunity when I worked in people analytics to work from a data perspective, something for the board, like when you think of our inclusion and diversity aspirations. So I had the chance to work with the team, and they were all like in very high levels because we're working on something for the board of management. And that was really a cool experience. I mean, I'm now 26, so I was 24 at that point. So I felt like, oh, I'm super young in doing something that definitely has an impact. But I always was treated as somebody that is like equal, that is equally. So I really, really liked that. So I learned a lot, but I had also always the chance to say, hey, I'm an expert for my topic. So here's my opinion. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. And that was like really, really cool, I have to say, working on these topics, and also for my development, having this growth opportunity.
So what did the data say about diversity and inclusion?
That there's potential. But I think we're what I like also is about, okay, what can we see from the data is that we can do better. But there is like, if we follow the track, then we're good to go. And it was also nice to see that after, let's say, the analysis, you can see that there's progress. Of course, you have some areas very naturally that do better, let's say it that way. HR, I would say, is something where you see more diversity, while I think IT is something naturally probably it's not so diverse, but we are slowly getting there, and that's great to see.
Yeah. I also had some cool experiences recently with the colleagues from HR I worked with for recruiting of new positions, because as you mentioned, IT is so if I post a position as an IT architect, yeah, typically, and I post it externally and not internally, I think the last time I received like 25 applications, and there were like 2 women and 23 men. And I already worked with HR to find a wording in the job description maybe which attracts non-men to apply for the position. But then also with the interview process, we have diverse interview panels and so on. But at the end, if you see the amount of men who apply, you also need to sometimes you do not select, let's say, the 10 best to go into the interview round, yeah, because maybe then it would just be your bias maybe that you see when you look at the CV and you identify then the 10 men who are the best, but then also just say, okay, I select the top 5 women and I select the top 5 men, and they go into the next round, because probably I would anyway have not selected the one who is maybe 7th place currently, and from men perspective, and with that you have then maybe a more diverse interview round, and you see things that people did not describe in the CV, or yeah, you see attitudes, and you see how well do they fit to our values, and therefore you sometimes just have to give the chances to achieve that diversity quote. So there is no real quota, I think, in IT, at least I'm not aware of, but I see that in my team. Yeah, I had three women in the team from 10 employees, and then they 1 or 2 have gone to another positions, and you're like, now only 1 woman left. That's not such a nice environment for her, and also not for the team in general. How can we get back when we hire positions? And then you look at, okay, I have software engineer, data engineer, IT architect. That probably are positions where 95% of the applicants are men, and you have to try to find ways that there are just more applicants also, yeah, who are not male.
Yeah, I think especially in the IT sector, it's really hard, because at least when I think of IT and I would like have an IT position, I think I would rather go to like tech companies rather than Bayer. But I think Bayer has so many great things to offer. So I think from a, let's say, marketing perspective, it's important to clarify, okay, what is it that you can do at Bayer and make Bayer as an attractive company? Because I mean, even I, like what I mentioned before, was thinking, yeah, it's such a big company and you are just basically treated as a number. That's like what you usually think of, like big companies, and it's chemical. I don't know whether it's fun, but it is. And you have cool opportunities. I have met so many great people at Bayer, so I really, really love working here.
So yeah, the thing you like the most about Bayer is are the people, or what would you say if you were getting asked by your friends what is it that you like so much about Bayer? What would you say?
People, yeah, the colleagues, definitely. I mean, maybe I'm lucky, but I just had great colleagues, even the different projects, the different positions I'd worked with, so many great people. And also like now with moving around in the different countries, it's just so cool. I mean, from a culture perspective, I just really love it. And everything else comes naturally because you can be paid with the best salary. You can have the coolest thing to work on. But if your peers, like the people you're working with, are not great, I mean, then it's not good. What would you say?
Two things: people, but maybe other companies also have nice people. So I don't know.
No, definitely not.
That's one reason why I stayed in R&D for so in research and development for such a long time is the first manager of that environment. What I really like is to be myself at work. Yeah, and I have the feeling in research and development and in IT we are able to do it. Maybe not in all areas, in all business areas, but at least I can be authentic. Sometimes I wear a cap. Sometimes, most of the times I'm just wearing a shirt, and people don't care. I already I already received feedback for wearing a cap once, but I said whatever. Yeah, so it's the what am I working on and how am I working, and not how I look while I'm working. And I'm in my own four walls, so I can do basically whatever I like, and I like to just be authentic and have that also in the R&D environment. This is really something that we were always able to be ourselves, and that makes also then a cool team. The other thing I like so much about Pi is the work-life balance. Opportunities. I say opportunities because a lot of people also complain about too much work and workload and so on. And I see that as well. But it's also everybody's accountability to take care of own work-life balance. So for example, what I did 2 years ago, I booked in my calendar, I booked the Friday. Yeah, I should not say this now because people will hear it. I booked the Friday and it looks like I'm off. Yeah, I called it Innovation Day. It's a series every Friday. It looks like I'm off. And those typically are the days where I just have like 2 to 3 meetings where I can work on stuff, where I sometimes, even when I worked overtime the other days, maybe I can also leave earlier, or just join later. I blocked my mornings to take care of my daughter to go to kindergarten. I blocked my evenings from 5:30 p.m. to and it says in the blocker, it says dinner and playtime with my daughter. So then people see that and they don't put meetings in there, because at the beginning, especially the Fridays, was quite hard to get rid of all the calendar entries. But at some point in time, it's just natural. And now I'm doing it for 2 years now, and it works really well. And nobody dares to put an appointment in the playtime with my daughter and dinner. Yeah, so it's something you have to do yourself, and not just hope that by chance you will have a good work-life balance. You really have to, but then it's possible. If you try it, it's possible.
I can agree. I think it's like the flexibility you have. It's about you can, or you need to get your things done, but according to when it fits to you. So for example, what I also did like in summertime was then, okay, I leave early when I do not have meetings. And then on the evenings, I just have another hour. So I just split my time somehow. But I'm really, really flexible. And this is what I really, really like. Working for Bayer. So yeah, I can agree. But also, as to your point, you have to take care on your own, and nobody does it for you, because we are all like grown-ups, I would say. So if you manage your life well, you definitely can have a good work-life balance. And yeah, I really like the idea of putting dinner and playtime, because probably nobody would like to crash that one.
No. With lunch it does not work, but the other blockers they work quite well.
What about challenges? What has been like the biggest challenge where you would say that was maybe in your career not the easiest time?
So, for example, the first time as a team lead, I got the feedback from one of my team members that he finds it quite challenging that as someone who is half his age is his team lead. And at that time I was 30. And so basically you start with some kind of like, okay, I have to show you that I deserve it. Yeah, so some kind of feeling like this. Or when I was treated also like I'm just a consultant from an external company, and I had to defend myself in a meeting with some senior managers and say, no, sorry, what you're saying is wrong. I'm not a consultant of this company. I know all the different reporting and dashboarding tools. You can ask me about any of those tools, and just because I gave you an answer for this tool does not mean I'm a consultant and I'm biased. So this kind of making your point, or basically being true to yourself and stand there and say if you see something is wrong, or you have these kind of expectations towards you because you are young. This bias also, I'm male, I'm white, everything is like piece of cake for me, because of the environment I'm in. That's also not the case, because nobody knows what's going on in private life and so on. So these kind of expectations towards me and how to handle those, I would say, is something that is quite challenging. And it's also something that I try to coach the teams that I'm working with, to always ask that question: why is that person behaving like it is now, or he or she is, and just don't think you would know what's going on. And I think that is something I found always quite challenging. How about you?
It's interesting what you're saying. To be honest, like a real challenge, but I feel like what I needed to find out was, okay, what is it that I like in general to do, and what is it that I don't like? And what I don't like is just working in, let's say, on one topic. So even I love people analytics, but my question was, okay, what comes after that? Will I be like a reporting lead, or just working with data in that environment? I was like, no, that doesn't sound super natural to me. So I was like, I need to do something else. And so, but when you have, and I think that happened to me at that time, you get a kind of stamp. I was kind of the data girl because, I mean, in HR, working with data is, or was not that common. It like comes, we're working now lots with data, and it's getting better and better. But when you're good with something, you kind of get the stamp and you're just known for that kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, how can I get rid of that stamp and do something? And I was trying hard, but in the end, it came somehow naturally. I mean, and do something else. And currently, like in my position, I'm always asking, do you know that I'm good with data? Would you think that? And they're like, no, I don't know. You're good with like something more creative. And that's pretty cool. Like how things are changing, where it was a challenge like in the past, but yeah, you can do so many good things. This is what I really like about working at Bayer. You have so many great opportunities. So not really a challenge. Not anymore. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, but this challenge of personal goal, or what is it that you would like to achieve? I can relate to that, because that's also currently what I would not call it a challenge for me, but it's definitely the same. Yeah. So as mentioned before, when I was I think in 2014, it was quite clear. I would say in the development dialogue, I would like to be a team lead. But now I'm a team lead, and what's next? So there was no real aspiration after that. I was thinking, okay, maybe I need some time, maybe with 40 or something. And then afterwards I have 3, 5, 7 years left, I can think about it then. But now it already happened, and it's difficult to say really from career or job role what is it that I would like to do, except for what you mentioned, this personal. Okay, I like working with data. I like working with people. I like doing this. How can we combine this all and have a position where all of it fits together somehow?
That's
So
true.
you know that you also have that start with why and your why and so on. Do you know your why?
That's actually a question that I wanted to say, or I wanted to ask, because we did when I was in Costa Rica, we did also a purpose workshop about what is your why. So I mean, why you're waking up and work for Bay and do what you want. And I always ask myself, especially like in this training program where I felt like, oh, this is such a great program. Everybody wants to do this program, and Bayer gives you the chance. You need to do something out of it. But I feel like, okay, it's not about what somebody expects from you, but what is it that you naturally actually want to do? And I feel like, at least I can talk about myself in HR. What I want to do is make it younger, and not younger, let's say, from an age perspective, but more of when people say, hey, no, we always did it that way. And I feel like, yeah, maybe it's time to change. Maybe we can do it better. And just do it and just go for it. So make it younger, faster, more effective, and also more fun. I mean, there's never a second chance for your first impression. And I always feel like when you go somewhere, and it's no matter if you're coming from external or you moving internal your position, and the first day that you start should be amazing, because that's your first day, that's your first impression. And if you like it, if you love it, then that's great. It impacts like the rest of your let's say time being there. And so I feel like this is what I would like to achieve, that I met so many great people, I had so many great experiences, and I hope that everybody somehow in the Bayer development can have the same and experience the same.
Yeah, you can have also a second impression.
That's true,
So
but
my wife,
it's better to have the first one.
yeah, that's right. My wife, when she first met, she was uh, such a jerk or something like this. But now we are married, and she changed her mind. So it can also change. But yeah, the why from my perspective is, so a lot of people in Bayer have that natural bond somehow towards Bayer because they were living in Leverkusen, and for example in Leverkusen, and that's why they joined Leverkusen, joined Bayer. Or maybe their family or something has some kind of disease, or themselves have a disease and they would like to help with that, or they are more into agriculture and that's why they joined. For me, that was never maybe I was just lucky that this did not happen to me and my family yet. But this would at least was also not the reason why I joined Bayer. I wanted to join a company who had this dual study program. That was and Bayer was one of the companies that offered that program. I'm a big FC Cologne fan from soccer point of view, so that was from area point of view quite close, and that's why I joined. Um, but looking at it now, I think it's the different opportunities you have to just do what you like to do. You can address this to your manager, for example, and then you can find together a job or task or role where you can combine the things that you like to do. So, for example, I am very much into changing or making community life better for everybody. So I'm in so many culture change initiatives. I always say I like what you mentioned about this young mindset. I would call it maybe, or challenging the status quo, running against the walls 15 times until it finally breaks. It's also exhausting. I have to say it's also sometimes annoying or sometimes demotivating if you would like to change something and nothing changes. And in a company with 100,000 employees, you can't expect change to happen that quick with a 10-employee company, but the opportunities that you can live your why inside of Bayer in different roles, jump, experience something like you mentioned, experiment, try something out, do short-term assignments, long-term assignments, go abroad, all of that, all those opportunities, they are in Bayer, and that's probably why a lot of employees join Bayer, and a lot of employees also did not leave Bayer.
Yeah, I can agree. But, and I think that's important, I think you can do everything, but you just have to make room for it. So for example, I also did a shadowing, and I feel like, okay, if I want to do something else, I want to have a look at it, I can just go and say, hey, I want to do a shadowing there and there. And it's possible, but nobody will say, okay, would you like to do a shadowing? No, it just needs to come from yourself. And I think this is like super important, what you're mentioning, because you have the opportunity, but you have to ask for them. And you have to make yourself room for it. And even if you say, okay, it's not happening, where somebody's, for example, told me, hey, it's not the right time, you cannot do it. And then I'm always asking, okay, what is it that I need to do in order to get there? So really making the room for it, basically. And then I think you can do so many things. And yeah, this is what I love. And especially I had to kind of smile when you were saying about you have to run against the walls. It's true. And yes, it can be exhausting, but I really like the challenge always about, okay, how can we do things differently? How can we, make it more fun? Because sometimes I feel like as every person is always about, I can complain here, this is not working. But from like words into action, that is sometimes the trickiest part. But I feel like if you are a person that is saying, okay, let's do it, even though, again, it's not part of my job description, but let's do it. Let's change something. You can really change something. And this is where it kind of inspires me that you really have the opportunity to make a change, to be part of the change. And that's, to be honest, really cool, especially in such a big company. And also when you talked about communities, I mean, we do have so many great communities where you can be part of something bigger and try yourself out. So even if you have not the opportunity to like switch positions every 2 years, but what you can do is get on some projects, join communities, do this and that. So you really can develop yourself, even if it's not like the natural way on moving positions. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to share? Something cool that you achieved lately?
I like all my new hires, so I also like the team that was there before, but also to form a team, and not just being put into a team lead position for a team that you then have to work with is maybe a bit drastic, but to form your team, to hire people, to look who's fitting into the team. And then develop the team together. That is something. This is, I would say, the coolest thing within this year. It was definitely also the most effort went into this. Having all those interviews, talking to people, letting data decide also on who's the right person to hire. Yeah. Overall in Bayer, this data science escape room was the coolest, but the last year, I would say definitely forming the team and bringing people together.
Is the data science room still to use? Still available?
Yeah, it's in general available, but we would need to set it up again. So all the equipment is still there. We could, as soon as we have a room which is free, we could use and build it up again.
And everybody can do this?
It really changed. So there were so many people and so many interested people, and we had such a long waiting list. But then Corona hit, and say putting 6 people in a room and all of them touch all the things and so on. We said we can't host it anymore, at least not the physical version of it. I think when we are back to this normal working or new normal working mode, then it might be possible again.
Because I definitely want to try it out. You made me really curious now.
Yeah, yeah, I will have that in mind.
Very
What
good.
is the coolest thing that you did this year, would you say?
Definitely traveling to Costa Rica and Canada. It's so different from a cultural perspective. I mean, not so different, but it is different. And it helped me definitely also see things from a different angle. So when you're just in Leverkusen, I feel like at least for myself, I felt like you always see the things from the same side. But when you move and spend some time with the people, you have the opportunity to also see the other side, and you understand things better. And I always see myself currently as connecting the dots because I have the insights from global, from Leverkusen, and you can like talk to people in a more transparent way and say, hey, this is why we did this, but here you have to see it from this side. And it was really eye-opening, and it's a little bit sad that it's almost over. So coming back to Leverkusen in October, but I'm also very like excited for what's upcoming, like with my new position. About there are so many great things that you can do and be part of. So it has been a great year of so many learnings, and yeah, I mean, even when I look back, it's crazy because when I started, I just remember that, I mean, I was an intern and I needed to write emails and somebody was looking over my emails. Can I phrase it that way? And when you think about year after year, how many things you learned, and how you changed and how different you see things, I mean, that's pretty cool.
When you are back, do you already know what you will be working on? So the
Yeah.
position name is quite clear, but do you already know like your first tasks or so?
Yeah, kind of. Because I mean that's the good thing about it. It's not the position is quite new, so I can also build the position for myself. And as I mentioned before, I'm not a person who looks into what says my job description. It's more about, okay, where can I bring value to it, and what are the things that needs to be done. And the thing is, engagement, it's lots of things. I mean, it can be everything, but it would be a challenge to focus on, okay, what are the things that we need to do first? So
That's good.
therefore, my question would be, what engages you? So I can take it, take it
But
into account.
when working or
Yeah, there, like where we say, okay, this increases my engagement score. Or also what you hear from your employees. I mean, you're a team leader, so you have
Yeah.
also the voices from your.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the feedback that was in the employee survey. Um, when we had last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a workshop in Berlin with the whole
Mhm.
department, and we talked about the employee survey and the scores, and also what is it that we would where everybody would feel motivated to work every day. And I think it's when you feel that you have an impact, that's the most important. So obviously, yeah, you have to like your team members, but if you are working on something and half a year later somebody says, oh, thanks for your work, didn't matter, then it's quite hard. And we had this in reporting and dashboarding. We worked that way for quite some time, that we thought we create digital tools and technologies, and then we brought them into the business use, and later there were two people using it, and it was just a waste of time, waste of money, waste of effort, and also the motivation decreased because you are building something and then nobody is using it. So what we are currently very much looking into is this real business value. What is the business value that is created for all the features that we create? What is the value that it's creating? Only put the money where the value is the biggest for the business. And by that, you are working on something where you know it will have an effect. It will have an impact. And this is then really motivating. Or if you see, for example, when you work with change topics, when you see change, uh, what I did a lot of mentoring in the past with students, and
Mm-hmm.
when I saw, for example, how someone who maybe at the beginning was quite shy and was maybe not good at presenting or maybe not good in English, and then we did some coaching, or we gave that person some opportunities to develop, and you see then, oh look, he's very confident now, presenting something, moderating sessions, talking in English, and you see maybe some behaviors that where you thought, oh, that would be cool if he would do that in the future, and now you see those behaviors. So this and impact. So having impact on the business and impact on people. I think that is the motivating part.
That's true. I guess the only thing that just immediately came to my mind when you were talking about reports and you do something, I think especially in this digital world, it's such a fast-changing world that we have to also kind of adapt our mindsets, because even if you start working on something now that has the biggest impact, and tomorrow it could change. I mean, when the pandemic hit, basically, we planned so many things and then we couldn't do it anymore. But at that point in time when we started it, it was a value, but then it changed because something unexpected happened. So I can clearly understand that the motivation comes from when you create an impact. But I think also from a mindset perspective, in this, especially in these digital topics, we all have to understand it's changing super fast, and it's not about you did something wrong or you didn't use your time well. It's just like, okay, even today it's not that relevant anymore, but now we can work on something else that is, and just be more adaptive to it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. It is. It absolutely is. But I think that's something we all have to learn, because the world is it's changing super fast, and what is happening today can be irrelevant tomorrow, and something else is then coming back the other day. So as from a mindset perspective, something to work on. But yeah,
we have to deal with it more often than we hope for. Yeah.
that's crazy. It was so nice talking to you.
Yeah,
I learned so many new things.
you look at the time and you know that playtime with my daughter starts in 5 minutes. Thanks.
Exactly.
Thanks for taking this into consideration. Yeah, it was very nice meeting you. Also meeting a data person
In
in
HR.
Yeah. I will definitely reach out to you also afterwards, because I have some cool connects for your new job as well. So some cool people to talk to.
Yes.
Maybe that could help then also bring this community aspect and engagement even more into HR.
Cool. Yeah, happy to connect, and also to have some follow up on some data topics. Just curious about what are you doing in detail. So yeah, it was so nice meeting you, and hope talk to you soon.
Yeah, have a nice day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.